Well, I am back. Part five of Healing Body Image Distortion. In parts one through four, I spoke about how I would call it the more obvious parts of body image, how I controlled it through food, through exercise, through supplements. Those were more obvious to me. In this part, uh, recently I realized how much it had expanded and maybe a little more subtler. So, what began as a focus on my body slowly became something much bigger. It became image distortion, not just about the body, not just how I looked or who I believed I needed to be. Uh, Over time, that image quietly replaced something real. It replaced my authenticity. It replaced my presence. And it even replaced what I thought was healing and happiness. This had become my identity, a false identity, but it had been become my identity in one that I created, again, unconsciously. Let me share a story with you that really stuck with me. It was in high school, and my best friend, we were walking from one end of the school to the other to go to classrooms, and along the way came across several other students. And at the end, when we reached our destination, she turned to me and she said, "Jennifer, I have no idea who you are. You were like five different people." And that stung, but I knew it was true. I felt it. I knew while I was doing it. I was anticipating what they wanted me to be for them, the answers I would give them, or whatever presence I was providing them. And I really didn't have an opinion, my own opinion. It was always shaped by the opinions or views of others. But the underlying piece of this was to be accepted. So whoever I was talking to, if I knew anything about them, I would adapt what I'm communicating so that was more likely to be accepted or interesting, I should say, to them. Uh, at that time, um, I didn't really have the awareness to understand it, though. I look back at that and I know that I knew that something was off. I just didn't know what to do with it. But that pattern didn't go away from me. It followed me into adulthood, into almost every situation, every interaction. I remember sitting in meetings with my team, my boss, my peers, executives, constantly adapting, like I did that day in high school, imagining what they would find acceptable or interesting or uplifting or inspiring to them. And I would try to be that. All of this was driven by this underlying question: will I be accepted? And what I didn't realize then was how much it was costing me, which was true connection. Connection requires listening, and listening requires presence, not what I would call mental multitasking. And I wasn't fully present. In fact, as I look back, really, most of my career, uh, I don't know that I ever was. In conversations, both professionally and personally, part of my attention was always on me. What do I look like? How do I look? What do they think of what I just said? Or did that come across in the right way? I was always monitoring myself. And about 2 years ago, I had a moment that echoed that experience from high school, but It wasn't a single event. It felt very expansive. A quiet but confronting realization. Who am I really? I wasn't sure. When so much of my life had been shaped around image, it was hard to separate what was real or what was created, what I created. I also knew this though. I wasn't here to live in this constant judgment or constantly performing or proving or this constant strive to be perfect. But oh boy, did that realization overwhelm me. I felt like a fraud. I also knew that I can unlearn anything that I learned, that I can create a new habit or replace it with a new one that's authentic for me. And so my practice began, and I kept it simple. I had to not ignite an old pattern, a pattern that I had fed for so many years that, again, I didn't recognize it was a habit or it was this false identity. So for me, the healing really came or started to come when step one, becoming the observer. And that was just simply stopping when something didn't feel right or someone triggered me. Just stopping, taking at least three full breaths, inhale and exhale, like really feeling that. Quite honestly, I can't, when I look back in my earlier years, I go, did I ever breathe? I was never aware or conscious of my breath. This, those two steps alone just helped me to slow down, stop this from taking over and dropping into my heart and what I was feeling. And I asked myself, what is it that I'm feeling? And I acknowledged it, whether it was anxiousness or fear or sadness or whatever it might be. And here was the key for me. I did not take any action. I used to wear like a badge, this I'm biased for action. You can always count on Jennifer to jump in and take over and control and fix and do. So for me, that was very important as part of the process is, I mean, unless my something was on fire, literally, and I had to go take the action to get the fire extinguisher and put it out, it was for me to take no action at all. And that also allowed me to start to look at the distortion in a way that, what was it? I started to become more present. This step allowed me to become more present. I was learning to be present. And so this last 2 years, this has become my practice. And and the final step, which is another very important one, is after I acknowledged what I was feeling, didn't take action, I would ask myself, what is it that I want most in this now moment? What is it I want to align with? Peace or ease or fun or freedom, whatever it was, based on that situation. And and that's what I'd go do. What's that one thing? I'll give you a real example that happened like 2 days ago. I love to be outside. I love to, you know, garden, anything outside. So a beautiful day here in New York. I started to just putz around in my various flower gardens, and I decided to pick up a rake and said, "Oh, I'm going to start raking." I love raking. And at some point, I started to feel tired. Now, in the past, I would start out the same way. I'm going to do just some raking. Well, that started at 10 a.m. and I'm still raking at 5 p.m. What started out as joy and like peacefulness is like Zen-like for me turned in at some point to say, no, oh, I've got just this much more to do. Oh, I'll do that now. And then I would get cranky and it turned into then I would get frustrated. And then I would even look at my partner and say, well, why aren't you out here helping me? You see me, I'm working, 8 hours raking, right? So the difference for me this time was I caught myself using this process. I went, wait a minute, what am I feeling? I'm feeling tired. There's no urgency to get the raking done today or tomorrow. So I stopped. I put the rake down. I went inside. I took a nice hot shower and I felt tired. I lay down on the bed. I drifted off for just, it felt like it's only a few moments, but I was laying down for probably, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes. That is that is a great example of how I apply this simple practice in an everyday situation. And this has been my savior. It's my go-to, and I can tell you this: the more that I do it, uh, the easier it comes and flows, and that allows me to create more space for the things that I do want more of in my life. So I wanted to share this part of the journey because it really became clear that it wasn't really about just the body. It was about my image in general and how much it had taken over me or I allowed it to take over. So I'm not sure if there'll be part six to this, but I do know this, that part of you all, you're here as part of my healing journey, and I thank you for creating the space for me to share it because it truly is a part of my process for healing. What revealed itself in this time is unveiling or maybe just dusting off because it was always there, my true purpose. And I am going to be doing a series on that. I'll share with you my how I found it. And I believe that everyone has it and it's there, but are we listening and tuning in, or are we letting this give you all the reasons why you shouldn't or couldn't or wouldn't make sense to do that? But this was part of it. So I don't look back at any of these experiences I had with regret. I do know that they happened for me. And I always did know that every experience I had, I knew it was going to help first myself, but others in this process. And so I'll share more soon. But again, thank you for the space. And until next time, be well and take good care. Bye, everyone.